Urahara usually has hundreds of contingency plans for any given situation, but one human Fullbringer pushed him so far to the brink that he had to unleash a forbidden level 99 Kido spell just to survive. This was Aura Michibane. Her raw power was so high that Urahara actually compared her to Sosuke Aizen. Fullbringers for most of Bleach appeared to have a limited ceiling. Ginjo was impressive, Tsukishima had one of the most busted abilities in the franchise with Book of the End, but could any of them genuinely threaten the upper levels of Bleach's power structure? Aura Michibane is a female Fullbringer who first appears within the Can't Fear Unworld light novels. Within the story, she fights Urahara to a standstill. She manifests elemental dragons powerful enough to clash with Hado 99. She also built a religious organization with over 770,000 followers just by performing miracles in front of crowds. She single-handedly defeated multiple Vandenreich soldiers during the Quincy invasion, which makes her one of the most impressive human Fullbringers. But who exactly is Aura Michibane? Where does her power come from? And why does someone with god tier abilities end up working as an underling for the sociopathic Tokinada Tsuneyashiro? You know who isn't sociopathic? All of those who have subscribed to the channel. Only 20% of the people who watch my content are subscribed, so if you enjoy these breakdown videos, be sure to hit the bell notification and the subscribe button for more breakdown videos just like this one. Aura's backstory is one of the most messed up things that Kubo and Ryogo Narita have ever written. Her father was a Fullbringer named Tenshio Agata. Her mother was a regular human. While Aura was still in the womb, her mother was attacked by a hollow, and though Tenshio managed to fight the creature off, the damage was done. Her mother survived just long enough to give birth before dying from her injuries. This broke Tenshio completely, as he convinced himself that his Fullbringer powers were the reason that the hollow attacked, that his bloodline was a curse that killed his wife, and in his grief he made a decision that would shape Aura into the weapon that she eventually became. He locked his daughter in a basement. For about 12 years, Aura Michibane lived in complete isolation. She had no contact with the outside world whatsoever. The only person that she ever saw was her father, and the only enjoyment she ever knew was his cooking. The meals that he prepared were her single connection to anything resembling warmth. He trained her Fullbringer abilities so that she could defend herself if necessary, but his intention was to keep her hidden from everything that might hurt her. One day, Tenshio told Aura about Ginjo Kugo's organization, a group that was gathering Fullbringers with the promise of extracting their powers and making them normal humans again. He left to join them so that he could bring that salvation back to his daughter. But Aura's father never returned. The Tsuneyashiro family, one of the 4 great noble houses of the Soul Society, was trying to acquire the Soul King fragments that reside within Fullbringers. They orchestrated a massacre as they gathered the Fullbringers in one place and slaughtered them to take that collective power. Tenshio Agata died alongside the others, but Aura didn't know any of this. All she knew was that the one person in a world had abandoned her. She was dying of starvation when her Fullbringer powers fully awakened, tearing through the walls and allowing her to escape from her isolation. The police ended up finding her as the story briefly made the news before fading into obscurity. She was taken in by relatives of her deceased mother, the Michibane family, and slowly integrated into society over several years. But something inside of her was broken. She moved through the world feeling nothing. The world had color and sound and people, but none of it really registered for her as being real. And everywhere that she went, people slandered her father for what he had done to her. They didn't know that he had loved her. They just associated him as that crazy guy who locked his child in a basement. After some point, Aura began encountering hollows. Without any formal training beyond what her father had given to her, she killed them using her Fullbring powers alone. It was during one of these encounters that a mysterious figure had approached her. This man introduced himself as Tokinada Tsuneyashiro, a Shinigami from one of the noble families. And then, with the casualness of someone discussing the weather, he told her the truth. I'm related to the family that gave the order to kill your father. He did this because he wanted to see her reaction. When Aura asked why his family had killed Tenshio, Tokinada explained that they wanted to retrieve something that belonged to them, which are the Soul King fragments that are fused to the soul of every single Fullbringer. Tokinada then offered her a choice. She could try to kill him in revenge, hate him, and even do anything that she wanted. But Aura responded in complete indifference. She didn't care. The world was empty, and whether if this man lived or died meant nothing nothing to her. Tokinada found this fascinating. Most people would have attacked him, or they would have just broken down, but her indifference made her perfect for what Tokinada had planned. He then revealed to her that Aura was the host of the Soul King's Saketsu, which is the Chain of Fate. Can't Fear Unworld drops a major lore bomb here. Every Fullbringer houses a piece of the Soul King within them. That's the actual source of their power. The hollow connection exists because the Soul King's energy resonates with hollow Reiatsu, attracting them to pregnant women carrying these fragments. Tokinada mentions that while the left arm Pernida and the heart Gerard Valkyrie return to the Quincy, Aura possesses something of equal value. The Saketsu is the pressure point where a Shinigami's spiritual power is boosted. It's a fundamental component of generating and channeling Reiatsu. Housing this particular fragment gives Aura access to an almost bottomless well of spiritual energy. This was why his family had killed her father and why they would eventually come for her too, but Tokinada had a different proposition. Rather than being hunted, she could work for him. He was planning to create a new world and he needed someone with her unique capabilities. With nothing else to live for and no reason to refuse Tokinada, Aura accepted his offer. Most Fullbringers develop their powers through attachment to a specific object. Ginjo had his necklace that transforms into a sword. Yukio had his video game console. Jackie had her boots. Riruka had her dollhouse. The attachment creates a focal point, and the unique Fullbring ability manifests through that connection. Think back to Ichigo's attachment to a substitute Shinigami badge which manifested his very own Fullbring powers. Aura spent her formative years with nothing. She had no toys or possessions. She had no relationship beyond her father. When her powers awakened, they had no focal point to crystallize around. The result of this was that Aura didn't have a unique Fullbring ability at all. Instead, she has access to the baseline Fullbring capabilities that every Fullbringer theoretically possesses, but they are amplified to an insane degree because of the Saketsu and years of focused training with nothing else to occupy her time. Every Fullbringer can technically manipulate the souls of matter. It's the foundation of how Fullbring works. Ginjo explained this to Ichigo during the Fullbring arc. Everything has a soul, and Fullbringers can pull on those souls to manipulate their environment. Aura took this basic principle and pushed it to its absolute limit. Aura is able to manipulate her own body at a cellular level. During her confrontation with Hisagi at Urahara's shop, she demonstrates this by literally cutting off her own head. Her body catches the severed head and reattaches it as she continues the conversation without missing a beat. This is how she gathered her cult followers, by performing miracles like this in front of crowds. She can turn her entire body intangible, transforming into smoke or mist in order to avoid any physical attack. Hisagi tries to bind her with Kazeshini's chains on Bakudo 62 and she just phases through everything like it's not there. By manipulating the iron within her blood, she is able to manifest massive Eastern-style dragons made of crimson liquid that attack with physical force. During a battle with Urahara, she creates an army of these blood dragons to assault both him and Hisagi at the same time. She can also pull moisture from the atmosphere in order to create an ocean in the sky, and then shape that water into a colossal dragon. At the same time, she's able to reach into the earth itself in order to conjure a magma dragon. These elemental constructs attack Urahara at the same time, a water dragon from above and a lava dragon from below. Here's what really demonstrates her power level. These elemental dragons were strong enough to clash with Hado 99 Goryu Tenmetsu. They cancelled each other out. Urahara had to use a forbidden Kido that draws power from ley lines in the earth, except he modified it to pull from the atmosphere that Aura was already controlling, and even then it was basically a draw. She can form nitrogen barriers from the air itself, shields dense enough to tank Hado 99 Senju Koten Taiho, the same Kido Urahara used against Aizen during their final fight. Aura wasn't unharmed, but she survived it and kept kept fighting. Using atmospheric manipulation, she can extend her physical reach across enormous distances, grappling and restraining targets from far away. She later uses this ability to restrain Tokinada and his Zanpakuto Enra Kyoten from across an entire battlefield. At the end of Can't Fear Unworld, she suspends a replica of the Soul King's palace in mid-air using nothing but her control over the atmosphere, preventing it from crashing into Karakura Town. Remember, she was holding up this structure while she was already wounded and drained of her energy. Urahara isn't somebody who is scared easily. This is the man who was playing chess with Aizen across 100 years. He created the Hokyoku, developed the method to break the barrier between Shinigami and Hado, and he fought Aizen directly and contributed to his defeat. He took on the Sternritter during the 1000-year Blood War arc, and without his contributions, the Soul Society wouldn't have won. When Urahara encounters Aura, his usual playful demeanor shifts. After observing her abilities and deducing that she has no unique Fullbring, but just basic Fullbring powers pushed to extremes, his analysis cuts to the core of how dangerous she truly is. He tells Hisagi it's like she's a Shinigami without a Zanpakuto that can use Kido and Hakuda at Sosuke Aizen's level. He then proceeds to use the same Kido he used against Aizen himself with full incantation just to test her defenses, and she tanks it. She's hurt, but she doesn't go down. What genuinely unsettles Urahara is the combination of her power and intelligence. When Urahara lies about the Hokyoku, claiming he can't simply create another one because otherwise he would have given one to Ichigo, Aura sees through him immediately. She knows more about the Hokyoku's true nature than anyone alive, and she catches him in his deception without hesitation. She even cryptically notes that if Urahara had given a Hokyoku to Ichigo, something very different would have happened, implying that she has knowledge of outcomes that Urahara himself has calculated. The woman he's fighting isn't just strong, she understands Urahara and knows his history, thus making her aware of what he is capable of. During their fight, Urahara has to bring out abilities that he has rarely shown. He uses Benihime's various techniques like Kamisori Benihime, Shibari Benihime, Hiyasobi Benihime, and none of them work effectively against Aura, because remember, she is able to turn herself into smoke or regenerate from any physical damage. He then escalates to Hado 91, and that proves insufficient as he unleashes Hado 99, a forbidden Kido that we last saw in chapter 683 when Aizen used it against Yhwach. But even with everything Urahara throws at her, the battle ends when Urahara allows Yukio to capture him, as this was a part of his greater plan. Later, when Aura discusses the encounter with Tokinada, she openly admits that she wouldn't want to make an enemy of the Gotei 13 after seeing what Urahara alone was capable of, so the respect between them goes both ways. Her role in the Can't Fear Unworld light novels extends beyond being a combat threat. Under Tokinada's direction, she became the architect of his entire operation. Her first major task was stealing the Tenkai Ketchu prototype directly from Urahara. The Tenkai Ketchu is the device that can swap spaces between locations. A version of it was used in order to replace Karakura Town with a fake version during Aizen's assault on the Soul Society. Aura successfully acquired the prototype, which Tokinada then mass-produced into hundreds of thousands of miniature versions. Next, she built the new Execution. This wasn't Ginjo's small group of Fullbringers, but a full-scale religious organization with over 770,000 believers. She gathered this following by performing miracles for crowds, decapitating herself, reattaching her head, manifesting impossible phenomena, and making people believe that they were witnessing divine intervention. The organization grew so quickly that it became a significant presence within the world of the living just within a few years. She also constructed a massive floating castle in the Valley of Screams using her matter manipulation, as this was a replica of the Soul King's palace. This would serve as the new seat of power for the new Soul King that Tokinada intended to create. And when the Vandenreich invaded the Soul Society during the 1000-year Blood War arc, Aura protected Tokinada's home single-handedly. Most multiple Quincy soldiers appeared and came for them, and she defeated them all without assistance. While Tokinada asked a lot of Aura, one of his biggest orders was for Aura to create life itself. Tokinada granted Aura access to a mountain of corpses, which included Shinigami, Quincy humans, and Fullbringers, which he had collected from various battlefields. He told her to use these remains however she saw fit to construct a body for the new Soul King. For the brain, Tokinada had acquired something special. This was the brain of Gremi Thamu, the Sternritter whose power was the visionary, the ability to make imagination into reality. This combined with a functional Saketsu and Hakusui pressure points, this hybrid body could theoretically survive under any circumstances. Aura assembled the creature using her matter manipulation. She didn't fully understand what she was creating or why, she just followed Tokinada's orders, treating it as another meaningless task in a meaningless existence. Then the creation began to live. Hikone Ubuginu was the name given to this artificial being, a childlike entity with the combined traits of multiple races, and it had wielded the ancient hollow Zanpakuto Iko Mikidomoe. This was Tokinada's future Soul King, who would maintain the three realms, while Tokinada controlled everything from behind the throne. Initially, Aura felt nothing towards Hikone. The child was just another component of Tokinada's plan, but as she watched Hikone grow, seeing that smile with genuine innocence, something began to shift inside of her. One day, Hikone approached Aura and said something that shattered her emotional walls entirely. "Lord Tokinada told me to see you as my mother. I don't really understand what a mother is, but thank you for giving me life." Hikone smiled at her genuinely and innocently, without any agenda or manipulation, and for the first time since her father left, Aura had felt emotion again. After watching Hikone, Aura finally understood her father. She saw herself in this child, another isolated being who existed only to serve someone else's purposes. Hikone's fate as the Soul King meant eternal imprisonment, maintaining the stability of the three realms. It was a life without choices or freedom. Aura was unable to accept this. She couldn't watch the child she gave life to become what she had been. She wasn't going to allow Hikone to live a life without ever experiencing the full world. For the first time, Aura wanted something. It wasn't revenge, power, or recognition. She just wanted Hikone to be free. This had put her directly at odds with Tokinada. His entire plan depended on installing Hikone as the new Soul King, and unlike her father, Aura wasn't going to make the mistake of trying to protect Hikone through isolation. She wanted Hikone to see everything, know all of their options, and then to choose their own fate, even if that choice was still to follow Tokinada. She believed that the decision to make that choice had to belong to Hikone and not to anyone else, so Aura began working against Tokinada in secret. When she first approached Yukio to recruit him for Tokinada's operation, she did something subtle. She handed him a business card, and using her Fullbringer powers, she encoded a hidden message within it that only Yukio's digital Fullbringer was able to read. The message asked him to cooperate with her in exchange for information about the true culprits behind the Fullbringer massacre. She was offering Ginjo and his allies the truth about who killed their comrades, which of course was the Tsuneyashiro family, in exchange for their eventual help against Tokinada. Yukio wasn't able to decipher this fully on his own, but later when Tsukishima used Book of the End on Yukio, he was able to extract the complete truth about Aura's intentions as he passed this information on to Ginjo. This meant that from nearly the beginning of her involvement with Tokinada, Aura was already planning her betrayal. The whole time that she appeared to be Tokinada's loyal servant, she was in reality building alliances behind his back. When Tokinada later tries to turn Ginjo against Aura during the final battle, claiming that she can't be trusted, Ginjo shuts him down immediately. He already knows the truth. Yukio and Tsukishima extracted it. Aura had been on their side all along. Aura's betrayal happens at the worst possible moment for Tokinada and the best possible moment for everyone else. During the climactic battle of the Can't Be Unworld light novels, when Tokinada is using Enra Kyoten's ability to copy Kyoka Suigetsu and keep everyone under hypnosis, Aura reaches out with her Fullbringer and physically restrains the blade. She knows exactly how Kyoka Suigetsu works. It can only activate when the target sees its release. By holding Enra Kyoten in place, Aura prevents Tokinada from releasing it again. She nullifies his greatest weapon through direct physical intervention. intervention. Tokinada struggles against her grip. He always knew that she would eventually betray him. He admits as much, but he didn't expect her to do it at this moment. His counter is brutal. He uses Enra Kyoten to copy Yumichika's Ruryo Kujaku, a Zanpakuto that drains the target's Reiatsu. Aura's power depends entirely on her spiritual energy, so this directly counters her abilities. She starts losing strength rapidly, but she doesn't let go. Tokinada taunts her. He says that she would have betrayed him before he activated Kyoka Suigetsu. He mocks her maternal love for Hikone as he tells her that her sacrifice is meaningless. But Aura smiles as she says, "There is meaning to this. I'm not doing this for you, the person who looked after me. I'm not doing this for the 700,000 devotees who believed in me. I'm doing this for a child who doesn't even care about me. I'm wagering everything for their sake." Despite knowing that she's dying, Aura holds onto Enra Kyoten and keeps Tokinada pinned until Ginjo and the other Fullbringers can land their attacks. She sacrifices herself to give everyone else an opening. When Tokinada's failsafe triggers and the replica Soul King Palace begins falling toward Karakura Town, Aura uses her remaining power to suspend it in mid-air. The strain of this, combined with her already depleted state, ensures her death, but she does it anyway. This is because Hikone is there and she won't let her child die. When Iko Mikidomoe breaks free and lunges at Hikone with bared fangs, Aura throws herself between them. The ancient hollow tears through her stomach, ripping out a massive chunk of her side. She could have healed it before, but she can't now. There's nothing left of her energy. Nanao tries to use Kido to heal her, but Aura refuses treatment. She asks them to heal Hikone first instead. Her final act is directing the falling palace into Urahara's emergency Garganta, sending the debris to Hueco Mundo instead of letting it crush Karakura Town. She transforms into mist and disappears into the void while Hikone reaches out for her, begging her to stay. Her final words before she disappears are to Hikone as she tells them please stay in good health. Now, Aura's story doesn't end quite here. She awakens in Hueco Mundo to find Neliel standing over her. She had retrieved Aura's Konpaku from the Garganta before it could dissipate entirely. Roka Paramiya, the Arrancar healer from Spirits Are Forever With You, stitched her spiritual body back together, using threads of reishi, sewing everything from blood vessels to nerves. Aura's human body is gone. She died as a human, but her soul survived, and now she exists in Hueco Mundo as a spirit that is greatly weakened but still living. When Neliel explains what happened, Aura is stunned that an Arrancar would show her such kindness. Neliel just shrugs. She couldn't leave Aura to fade away in the Garganta, it's that simple. Haribel stands nearby, watching the Picaro, a group of childlike Arrancar, play in the ruins of the fallen palace that Aura had sent through the Garganta. Neliel mentions that Haribel is shy but good with children as they adore her. When Neliel asks what Aura plans to do now, she admits that she has nowhere to go. Neliel invites her to stay with the Arrancar under their protection. Pesce and Dondachaka prepare a meal from the plant life that grows in Hueco Mundo. When Aura tastes it, she's overwhelmed. The taste of food prepared by others, it reminds her of her father's cooking. The story of Can't Be Your Own World leaves Aura in Hueco Mundo as she is bonding with Neliel over their shared love of food and cooking, as she looks forward to eventually reuniting with Hikone. And that's pretty much everything that we have on the character of Aura Michibane. She's a fascinating representation of what happens when someone has raw potential but with no limits attached to it. She didn't have a unique Fullbring to define her capabilities. She had fundamental Fullbring powers and the Soul King Saketsu feeding her energy, combined with years of having nothing to do except train. Aura Michibane is definitely one of the most underappreciated characters within the lore of Bleach. Hopefully with videos like this, and if Can't Be Your Own World gets an anime adaptation, more people will know just how much of an incredible character she is. And honestly, it would be amazing to see her fight against Urahara in anime form. But we have now reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. What are your thoughts about Aura Michibane? If there's anything that I've forgotten to mention about her character, then let me know by continuing the discussion in the comments. And lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this one, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.